Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and I really hope that you enjoy this guide. Now, in today's guide, I'm going to be walking you through the Dancer for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker's controller guide. This is placements, setups, and so much more. If you haven't seen the news though, I have retired from Final Fantasy XIV content creation, and so just note going forward, you're going to see substantially less Final Fantasy XIV content unless it pertains to any kind of discussion that is had within kind of the overall MMORPG loving community. That being said, to make this easy, if you guys just want to get in and get out and get on with your way, be sure to check in the description of this video. You'll find there my user macros, and I've got these macros set up to instantly set up your crosshotbar, whether you're level 1 or you're level 90, with exactly everything as you see here in today's video. Now, here's the note. I want you to change it as best as you can to make it work for you, so you can have the most fun and enjoyable experience. So this hopefully will get you going, and feel free to find that fun and find the comfort, especially when playing this game on controller. Now, that being said, again, the description, you'll have to copy and paste it in to your game, and then all you have to do is go into the user macro section and select the macro and say execute, and it will automatically configure your hotbar. There are 3 that you will need for this, as well as what I have for my 4th one, which is my movement macro, and that will all be included in the description for you guys to make it easy. But without further ado, let's dive into the core of this guide, get you going, talk about why I have the things that I have set up the way I have them set up, and hopefully give you guys some good tips and tricks, whether you're starting with a controller or you're a seasoned expert just looking for an easy way to set up your hotbars. Let's do it. All right, to get us started, again, for those of you who've never experienced a controller, you can feel free to skip this chapter, but this ultimately is just going to give you a couple key pointers. If you go into the game configuration, you can see your controller configuration here, and I go into button configuration and I modify my execute macro 99. And the reason for this is because I make my R3 a click. It's actually set to a macro, and that macro will also be in the description of this video. To kind of demonstrate it, if I just press it, I'm going to bring out my mount. Now, if you cannot bring out a mount, it will automatically sprint for you. So if I just run and jump, I can now use that as a sprint. In PvP, it acts as your sprint. All in all, it ends up being a very valuable tool. But yeah, check it out if you guys want to do that. You can always find all this via your button configuration, and that's a little bit of a custom setup that I use. You do not need to use that yourself, but that's what I just like. Now, when it says execute 99, you want to go into your user macros, and you'll see your 98 and 99 slots. That's how you do that. And this macro itself will be, again, in the description, so you can just copy paste that if you choose to use it. But going from there into our just general system and character configuration here, this is where it's going to give us a lot of the control with the controller itself. Now, the beautiful thing, especially Final Fantasy XIV, your controller and keyboard and mouse, all of them are working all the same, regardless if you toggle this switch at all. If you're in keyboard and mouse mode, you could still actually work and play with the controller. It just gives you different kind of a configuration and UI, so it makes it easier to swap between the two if that's the kind of gameplay that you like. Now, for it all, I use legacy type movement. I think that's actually very important. Under the target settings, you see auto target according to priority and enable full target. This is a part of Endwalker. This is excellent. I highly recommend it. At least trying it out as a controller player. This is going to save you all kinds of time and problems, especially when you have abilities that require target, and the target maybe that you were focusing on died, and then you haven't picked a new target, so it ends up saving a little bit and helping manage that for you. Now, under filters, especially when it comes to DPS, this is really important to make sure that you're actually hitting the right things. And so when my weapon is sheathed, you can see my filters that are listed out right here. When my weapon is out and ready to go, I'm only going to focus in on enemies. You'll notice that party members is turned off in both cases. The reason is the D-pad up and down without the right trigger or left trigger pulled will cycle through your party members. Now, left and right is how this functions. And right now, obviously, I don't have a lot of targets. Looks like there's somebody out here, so I can target anything by left and right. But if I pull out the old weapons, you notice I am not targeting the other character that is slowly just hanging out on this kind of misty day beach. But focusing up, that is essentially something very important. When it comes down to your other hotbar settings and more, just note that this is where we're going to dive into the most of it. Regarding display, I have hide unassigned sun-aside slots turned off and display hotbar numbers turned off. Or this is turned on. It's kind of a double negative, but it is what it is. You'll see that if I turn this off You can see here all these little floating gray bars. I like to have that completely off in that case. Under sharing, anything that's checked is going to be shared across all your jobs. You'll notice like with these, this is great for like achievement hunters and all kinds of things that it really doesn't matter the specific job that you're using. Under the cross hotbar, you can see here always display cross hotbar, display hotbar help I have turned off. I'm in hold mode, but if you find that you have some hand dexterity issues, you can also play around with toggle and mix. It will limit you. You won't have the ability to use the expanded cross hotbar or the W cross hotbar in some cases. Just note that hold is kind of the preferred mode. And this is where you see always display the W cross hotbar, return to cross hotbar after W cross hotbar input. And then if you are struggling with the double tap, you can always adjust this input timer to easily jump into the different thing. And finally, in the settings, enable expanded controls with left trigger and right trigger. That's holding down left trigger and right trigger. You get two different ones. You can see here mine are similar, but there's a little bit of differences, and we'll cover those in the next section. They are linked to hotbar 2 left and right, and then enable the W cross hotbar with the double tap, and that's linked to hotbar 3. Where this becomes real important for you is, let's say you wanted to modify your hotbar 3. You cannot do that from the W cross hotbar. It does not allow you to do that. But if you wanted to move these things around, you have to move it from whatever the linked set is. To navigate to that linked set, you can always hold down R1 or L or right bumper, and then you can press any of the face buttons to easily toggle to the selected hotbar itself, and that's going to give you that level of detail and that level of control. But now I think it's safe to go ahead and move us into our core rotations and how I have my skills laid out, and to give you guys hopefully some good insight as to where you might want to place your skills. But the best thing comes down to it is muscle memory, and practice makes perfect. But let's go ahead and talk about that now. All right, so for this section, I'm going to walk you guys through my expanded cross hotbar, my double cross hotbar, and we're going to kind of go through a left to right approach here. And I'll just kind of talk about how I've got my skills placed. Again, your macros, if you copy and paste those in, will set this up for you, and then you can feel free to rearrange it any which way that you want. Now, starting on the left-hand side, I've got my limit break, foot graze, the Devilment here, head graze, I've got my Fan Dance 4, and Starfall Dance there. On the left-hand side, I generally think of this as kind of my AoE perspective. There are some exceptions, obviously. Curing Waltz isn't, that big on the AoE damage, but yeah, I just have certain things placed that way. But ultimately, I try to think of ABXY or your PlayStation, face buttons as being the most accessible to be able to move and easily use your skills. And then anything on the up, down, left, and right ends up trying to be as simplified as possible. But Fan Dance 2, Improvisation, Curing Waltz, and Saber Dance. And then over here, I've got Windmill, Bladeshower, Rising Windmill, and another Bladeshower. Or that's Bloodshower, Bladeshower. Dyslexia gets me sometimes, but I appreciate you guys so much for being here. All right, on the right-hand side, I think of this more of my single target rotation perspective. I've got Cascade, Fountain, Reverse Cascade, Fountainfall, Fan Dance 3, Technical Step, and Standard Step. And then up here on the right-hand side, Close Position, Flourish, Shield Samba, Devilment again, Starfall Dance, Arm's Length. And then that's where we're going to get into our part 2 here. This is the expanded left and right. So to kind of highlight it over here, I've got En Waltz, Close Position, Second Wind, a Standard Step, Curing Waltz, Devilment, Peloton, and Starfall Dance. Don't worry, I'll kind of walk you guys through how this all comes together. On the right-hand side, very similar. En Waltz, Close Position, Second Wind, Standard Step, Curing Waltz, Devilment, Peloton, and then Fan Dance 4. You can see the difference being the Starfall Dance and the Fan Dance. So let's put this all together. Essentially, we'll start kind of with a single target rotation. Again, if you ever want to know, you can always zoom in and out by holding down the left bumper and then using the right stick to back and forth. So you can kind of get your base standard, attack pattern going on right here. If I want to go ahead and do my dances, that brings this in and makes it easy to use. You can see here that also brings out the AoE, which is really nice. And I could do another dance here. Now, overall, then you could follow that up with that ability, put out a lot of beautiful AoE damage. Now, overall, attacking wise, if you need to be able to dash in and out, if you want to be able to set your dance partner, Cure, a Devilment actually is really nice because that allows you to do your Starfall right there, which honestly feels pretty deadgum good. But a couple key items here, if you ever needed to be able to put that Shield Samba on, you can just double tap into it. Same thing with these abilities. I love the dancer. It's so fun. All right, so I'm going to focus here on the AoE side of things. As the dancer, you're not going to have like the biggest AoE. You can see that I cannot, at this point, be able to pick up the other striking dummy. That's okay. That's where your dance does have quite a decent range. So obviously when it comes to pools, when you need to come in and be able to do all this on your own, you got to be paying attention to make sure you're not actually getting smacked. But it gives me, I think, a lot of flexibility, especially when it comes to my dancing. And the reason I have it on the expanded here, you can see just for that standard step, is that if I'm on the move and I want to make sure that I am having to like do a dash, I can actually make sure I jump into dance, and I can also execute my dance. For example, like obviously my dances are on cooldown, but if I used my dance, had to move, wasn't really quite comfortable with moving and pressing that button, I can always tap in here and then actually execute my dance move right there, which ends up being, I think, quite helpful. But so I hope that some of this has been a help to you. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is reset my striking dummies position there, and then essentially let's talk about my HUD layout. I got my step gauge, status and achievements, progress bar. We can kind of get rid of hotbar 4 over there for now. You can see over here inventory, a couple of different things, experience bar, target bar here. I turn off my mini map. You guys can do that. My 4-fold feathers is listed over here. I've got my focus target bar, my cross hotbar, and then I'm not currently using like hotbar 3. I've been kind of moving some of the abilities that I want to communicate to myself when they're kind of like a weak auras perspective, like, hey, this is ready, this is going, let's use this. Been putting that kind of floating on hotbar 4 just to have that visibility to it. So honestly, just play around with the UI. You can always make backups. You can always copy one UI from another. So if you were like, hey, I like, you're on one, you want to copy it and then start modifying it, you can copy and then start modifying it, so you can end up easily swapping between different UI layouts that kind of make things a little bit easier for you. And on the final note, I guess usually because I get asked, in terms of my gear, I'm currently rocking the high quality crafted set of 610, and that just gives me the look that you see here today. And that's hopefully answering all your questions, and hopefully that gets you exactly what you need for the dancer. Thank you guys so much for your time today. If you feel like these videos earn it, hitting that like button is a great way of helping them out in the algorithm and help to be discovered as people are searching for it and stuff like that. If you're looking for more Final Fantasy content, I would encourage you maybe go check out Gaming Kinda, go encourage you to check out Mione, I'd go encourage you to check out Mr. Happy and all the countless other Final Fantasy 14 creators out there. They would probably definitely welcome you and your your subscription and your watch time for sure. Anyway, guys, I wish you all the best. Thank you for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But until then, take care.